limited projections of us. This book is written from that voice, the voice that is at once questioning, analyzing, processing, and protesting the world around it, all while earnestly asserting its rightful place within it. In Greyboy, Cole Brown recounts with poignancy not only his search for an integrated black identity to inhabit, but he sets out on a literary quest to expand the definition of blackness altogether by teasing out the nuances of existing in between the identities he and those in his world have been assigned. The essays before you offer beautifully constructed windows into the world of what it means to be, as he declares himself, a token in the age of Trump. As a reader, I found myself smiling and nodding, feeling in my bones the relentless urgency of his mother's warnings each time he leaves her home. I rode the waves of self-betrayal when his belonging at the black table was at odds with his similarity to the preppy white kids he grew up with. Until, of course, life painfully reveals the lie of sameness we are sold. I laughed along as he fondly recounted the great loves of his life, remembering the days of my own first love and how hard my young heart had fallen. As a black writer, all too familiar with occupying white spaces, I presume one reason I was trusted to write this message to you is that in my book, More Than Enough, claiming space for who you are, no matter what they say, I, too, reflect on growing up in a near constant state of whiteness, only to enter adulthood grappling with what it means to find myself more often than not as the only in the room. The token black friend, the token black body in the office, or, as the great Shonda Rhimes cleverly coined us across industry, FODs, first, only, different. It is hard to miss the many parallels between our experiences. Though in as many ways as our stories are similar, they diverge primarily on the fundamental characteristics of gender and of a certain socioeconomic privilege. However, even in these seemingly narrow divides between two otherwise similar millennials lies a multitude of nuanced experiences that defy any notion of a monolithic black identity. As one of the many titles he considered for this book suggests, Black Boy, Silver Spoon, which I happened to like. Cole comes from a world of privilege that I wasn't exposed to until well after college. A biracial black girl who grew up in a working-class white town in California. I did not summer on Martha's Vineyard, nor did I have access to private school education or the elite Jack and Jill circles he was born into. And yet, I relate deeply to the in-betweenness that Cole writes about. I have always believed in and championed young voices for their ability to convey something about the world that we might not otherwise see. While his adult life is only just beginning, Cole's writings chart a specific kind of coming of age that explores the arc of coming into one's consciousness and finding a voice of one's own. A voice that, for the first time, strives to articulate itself without compromise, while embracing all the competing parts that make up its whole. This is a story of one young man's journey to develop and define a strong, affirmed, black identity in a world that wanted to define that for him. I, for one, find that to be a very brave and important act. A note. To this day, I wrestle with what to call the thing you're holding, how best to convey what it contains. It isn't a memoir, though it's often about me. It isn't a study, though it's often about others as well. It isn't an anthology, though it has much of that same stitched-together patchwork appearance. It isn't academic, objective, or authoritative. What it is a scrapbook, a collection of stories, some mine, some not. I compiled the stories over hours of